What's up, dogs? Do you want that sweet diffusion, those creamy skin textures, that bloomed out light source? It's the Moment Cinebloom filter, but which one? Thankfully, you won't break the bank if you choose wrong, but you'll obviously be baking this look into your photos, so you want to choose correctly for the appropriate situation. Diffusion filters are more often used in cinematography, and you'll hear that they are used to combat an image that is overly digital, clinical, or sharp to a fault. They bloom highlights, soften skin, soften contrast, and add character. This scene here might be hard to tell because I have no practical lights in the actual shot, but the 10% has been on this whole time. Here's the 20% for reference. I can tell just by looking at the flip out LCD that the effect is pretty heavy, but let's take both off and look at photos because that's more my thing. And right before we jump into some images, I picked up the 20% version when Moment first launched these and used it most recently for some of the images on my road trip. I didn't have a strong use case for buying this filter when I first picked it up. Not typically the way you want to be buying gear. I've been a big fan of Moment. I wanted to support them, particularly in a hardware product launch, and I wanted something inexpensive that I could use to spice up my photos. These filters and things like a 10-stop ND filter are nice ways to change things up and expand a bit on creativity or technique. Filters are a good way to do this because they are relatively inexpensive and work with most of your lenses if you get a big enough size. I recently got the 10% as a gift after already having the 20, and kudos to Moment for changing up their case. This newer style is much better. And the 10%, again, we'll flip to this right now. The 10% is more likely to live on my lenses as opposed to the 20% that I use much more sparingly. The 10% is also 77 millimeters and it fits directly on the 70-200 and the 24-105. And those two lenses I use to take most of my photos. So it's nice just to skip any step-up rings. Stepping up incrementally from the 52mm filter thread on this lens all the way up to 77 or 82 gets a little bit bulky. So I did get one ring to do that full jump when I used the 10% for YouTube. Overall, the 10% look is just more subtle while still adding a little bit of intrigue or something different. The 20% is more of a specialty thing, and there's a big difference in how these work depending on the ambient light. The effect isn't as crazy during the day, and I actually like it around sunrise and sunset. The biggest advantage at this time is that you can lessen those super harsh highlights that you might catch at this time when shooting directly into the sun. I'm currently renting the cheaper 24-105 kit to compare against the L version that I already own. And when I was comparing these two on a quick trip, I used these filters to shoot pretty directly into the sun for some of these shots. Instead of blowing out in a harsh way, blown out areas diffuse over a much broader area. Your shadows are going to be much lighter too, so you may opt to add some local contrast back, but I like the look as long as I'm not shooting this all the time. The effect is strong at night though, especially when your frame is made up of a lot of different lights. You can see here at 20%, shadows and blacks are not going to be preserved nearly as much as with the 10%. We really see them brighten up, and we get those neon colored highlights spilling way over. I think it's cool, but probably best used sparingly. Or perhaps it's more fitting when your light sources are further away in the frame and aren't filling up the whole fore or midground. If you're gonna bloom, I'd go in with the 10% first, and then move to the 20 if you're looking for a more dramatic look. Moment offers a 5% now too, which might be good if you like this type of look, but want to leave it on a lens all the time. Sort of like how some people do with the UV filter for protection. Let me know if you're in 5, 10, or 20 gang down below.